Good evening and welcome to tonight's board meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Shapiro.
Here.
Trustee McGreal.
Here.
Trustee Dizelle.
Here.
Trustee Ryan.
Here.
Trustee Michaels.
Here.
Trustee Dwyer.
Here.
Mayor Kitching.
Here.
We have a quorum.
If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless his election.
All right, reports. Starting with myself this evening. Many of you out here know that I'm a Sox fan, right?
No.
Well, I'm also a Chicago fan of all of our sports teams. And as much as it pains me as a Sox fan to read this to you, I'm going to read this.
But your clerk is a Cubs fan, and I should have worn your Cubs jacket.
Proclamation. Chicago Cubs Day 2016 World Series Champions. Whereas, Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016, the Chicago Cubs became victorious over Cleveland Indians in 10 innings with a final score of 8-7 in Game 7. Whereas, this particular win was extra special as it ended the 108-year wait for a Cubs World Series win. Whereas, the Cubs are first team to come from behind from a 3-1 deficit to win the World Series since 1985. Whereas the Cubs accomplished the series win by playing the final two games on the road. The last time this feat had been accomplished was in 1979. Whereas all Northsiders, Southsiders, Alsip residents, and indeed all Chicagoans are justifiably proud of the standard of athletic excellence and sportsmanship demonstrated by this year's team, coaching staff, and management. And whereas the entire village joins in celebrating the Chicago Cubs' success in bringing home the 2016 World Series Championship. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Kitching, acting in my capacity as Village President of the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, do hereby proclaim that the day of November 2nd, 2016 shall be known as Chicago Cubs Day in the Village of Alsip. In witness thereof, I have caused the great seal of the Village of Alsip to be hereto affixed.
Mayor?
As a side note, I have we fancied this all up really nice, and we sent a copy to the Cubs organization.
That's a shame. Not because of that. Because readers are leaders, and unfortunately, we just sent them a thing that says that they won the Word Series instead of World. Good spellers they are. We're not. We got to change that.
Uh-oh. Word series right here.
Okay, we'll fix that.
I heard they're very good
Typo.
spellers, too.
You heard they're what?
Good spellers, so they may have won the World Series. It all depends on what they did after.
Hey, you're not hurting my feelings.
Yeah, right.
They may have had a spelling bee. I don't know.
At any rate, we did that for the White Sox when they won, and we did it for the other teams as well. So it just makes sense to do it for them as well, and we do congratulate them. Clerk's report.
I have the presentation of the minutes of the October 17, 2016 board meeting. I also have the presentation of the Freedom of Information report for September 2016. There were 30 requests. I have the presentation of the IDOT motor fuel tax allotment for September 2016 in the amount of $36,970.83. I also have the announcement of the hiring of our approved part-time employee in the clerk's office, Tiffany, and I know I'm going to destroy her last name. Can I have some assistance there, HR? Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to state that the number of voters that have come through the Village Hall for early voting is 4,318 people. Today alone, 656 people voted early voting. And I also would like to state that I will not be at the meeting on November 21st because I do have two jobs and it's parent-teacher conference night, so I will not be here. So
Bring 'em here.
someone from my office will be here. And that's all I have.
Attorney's report,
No report.
engineer's report. Yeah, I drove on it. It's absolutely awesome. So. Public forum. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to address this board on anything on our agenda? Microphone. Please state your name for the record.
Susan Petzel, 4626 West Spencer Lane. I believe these questions all should be addressed by Trustee Dizelle, but I believe the attorney may need to address them as well. Are all previous individual committee meetings, whether it's building works, fire, police, are they required to take and submit minutes for those meetings?
Ms. Petzel, it's not question and answer, it's public comment. You can make a comment, but you can't engage
Okay.
the board in question and
My
answer.
question, okay, my comment then would be that, there are minutes being submitted from finance dating back till April, and I don't believe I've ever seen minutes presented for public works meetings, water committee meetings, and I'm just wondering if there are guidelines out there that are established that haven't been followed or haven't been enforced for individual committee meetings when they're held, and submitting them so that then the public can view them once they're posted on the website.
Thank you. Anyone else? Moving along, standing committees, Finance, Trustee Shapiro.
Mayor, I have a request for the approval of a list of payroll dated October 28, 2016, as follows. On the earnings, or gross payroll, I have $394,083.60, minus the voluntary employee deduction and taxes of $142,772.28, for a net payroll of $251,311.32. Next, I have a request for the approval of accounts payable dated November 7th, 2016, as follows. As soon as I find it. Under corporate, $278,742.12. Under road and bridge, $1,166.60. MFT, $26,700.96. 911, $4,560.44. The Pulaski Corridor TIF, $24,058.85. Waterworks, $747,610.25. Heritage 2, $84,298.60, for a grand total of all funds of $1,167,137.82. Next, I have a request for the approval of the Finance Director to attend the Illinois Municipal Treasurers Association 2016 Institute, an advanced seminar in Bloomington, Illinois. And then I have the presentation of the minutes of April 2nd, 2016 Finance Committee minutes, the presentation of the minutes of the April 4th, 2016 Finance Committee meeting, the presentation of minutes of the June 20th, 2016 Finance Committee meeting, the presentation of the minutes of the July 25th, 2016 Finance Committee meeting, and the presentation of the minutes of the August 10th, 2016 Finance Committee meeting. And to answer Ms. Petzel's question, sometimes the minutes get posted, sometimes they don't. And is the practice being adhered to like it should be? No. Sometimes it's the trustees' fault for not turning in the minutes. Maybe for lack of time. There was a lot of finance meetings in this particular case, In fact, there's a couple on here that were turned in that were not posted as well. So it's a combination of several different things, but yes, it should be more structured. I agree with you. That answered your question.
Trustee Shapiro, you had said that August 24th was missing from finance. You had said a few were missing?
Yeah,
You had stated to me August 24th.
There's one from June 6th missing as well.
Okay, I
thought that
will
was
make
August
a note of
22nd,
that.
isn't it August 22nd?
And
August
as
24th.
village clerk, yes, that's something you are constantly hunting people down for the documentation, and it is part of the village clerk's job.
And that's all I have from Finance, Mayor.
Fire Trustee Michaels.
I have a list of bills and timesheets. I have a request for approval of an ordinance amending the Village Code, Chapter 9, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 3, Fire Prevention, Section 9-37, amendments, revisions, and changes. Chief, could you give us a little insight into this?
Yeah, items number 1 and 2 are actually the same thing. What it does is every business that has a fire alarm system, a sprinkler system, a hood system, an ANSEL system, are required to have them tested annually. There's so many vendor companies out there that come and do the testing, and they're supposed to submit the reports to us. Sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't, depending on the type of service. So we're going to use an online service. It's called Brycer, the one we're going to be using, that collects all the data from the vendors, and they create a database for us so we can keep track to make sure that all the systems are tested on an annual basis. They actually send the companies a letter stating that their system is due for testing, and then when the third party comes in and tests it, they actually forward it to Brycer, and Brycer completes our database for us. Right now, we try to track it with our fire inspectors and our fire prevention officers. With the amount of businesses we have in town and the different dates they're out testing, it's almost next to possible for us to keep track of that. So it's just one of couple different companies that are out there, and we chose this one. So it is no cost. We do not charge the businesses for that. The third-party vendors that already provide this service already have it built into the fee structures. Some of them just don't exercise it at that time. So it's just a way for us to keep track and make sure that everybody's up to par with their system testing, that's all.
So, Chief, is Brycer charging us then, too?
No, Brycer does not charge us. Brycer charges the third-party company that does the testing.
I see.
And those vendors already have that built into their fee structure.
I got you there, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the key thing here is that it's no cost to the businesses for this.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, so that request for the approval resolution approving contract with Brycer LLC for database for fire inspection compliance reports you've already discussed. So I'm just reading that into the record. Next, I have a presentation of the minutes of the October 17, 2016 Fire Department Committee meeting and the announcement of an online contest event. Chief, could you give us information on that also?
One of the companies that we use for our public education materials is called Promos 911. They had an online contest this year, and whatever town provided the most likes on their Facebook page, which means nothing to me because I'm not part of Facebook, so whatever that means. But we received the most votes. The next closest one was Lyle Woodridge, which is actually a large fire district. So for us to surpass them, and that's because we got the information out, so I want to thank everybody who went on Facebook and liked it, and what they're going to give us, award us with another cutout for the people that have been in our open house or any of our other activities with the cutouts. So we have another cutouts worth, I think, $150 to $200. So again, it's a free thing we get, and we use it for our public education programs.
Okay, thank you, Chief. That's all I have, Mayor, under fire.
Police Trustee Shapiro.
Mayor, other than the normal list of bills and timesheets, I have a request for the approval of an ordinance authorizing the disposal of items of personal property owned by the Village of Alsip and a property control sheet for the deletion of two 2009 Dodge Chargers. Chief, you have anything else that you need to bring up to me?
No, other than we'll probably put that through the regular auction process. I know that the village was interested in vehicles before you take care of that.
How many?
Unless there's another need.
How many fleet vehicles did we keep? Just one so far? We just have one.
Yeah.
What's the value of that, Chief, going to an auction?
If we put these through an auction, we're gonna get probably from about $3,000 to $5,000 per vehicle.
Through,
There's such high mileage. And keep in mind something else, our squad cars, they're running 24/7.
24/7.
okay.
So we may only keep them for 5 years, but they're hitting 70, 80, 90,000 miles.
Yeah, my focus was still on, I hate seeing any village employee use their own car, and village business, that's all, I mean, doesn't hurt to have something that's in halfway decent shape. I know you wouldn't be getting rid of, if it wasn't, but a 2009,
We run it through auction. If you guys have any interest of deploying it somewhere else, for $3,000, it's not a bad thing to keep.
That's what I'm getting at.
There's a need for it.
Has anybody evaluated them to see if it was worthy of keeping? I know you're just doing it for your fleet purposes, but
Right, it's the rotation, basically. I don't know, usually if there's a need, we would kind of set it that way, but if there's no need, but if you want me to tap the brakes for a couple weeks and you guys dialogue it out, if you want to, trustees and the mayor want to.
Mayor, how do you feel about that?
Conclusion on this, you can let me know, but I'll hold off for 2 weeks.
You want to keep? You want
Is
to have a
anyone
second car?
using is anyone using the one that we have available
Depending
now?
on the car, some of them have front-end issues, et cetera, that are expensive to repair.
Is anybody
That's why
using
we
them?
kind of rotate them out. If you want to keep them and try to keep up with the repairs, we could do that too.
I guess my thing was if one was worthy, I could see getting rid of the other. I just like the idea of having 2 fleet vehicles
Well,
around
it's
here.
nice,
That's it,
but
you know.
if they're not using it, then why have 2 of them? I don't know who's using it.
Mr. Dracy just shared with me who is now in charge of your ESDA program.
I was going there next. Yes.
If there was ever a response, or even now, if I'm going to the churches, whatever I need to do, I'm more concerned if there was some sort of response to something, and I can take it personally with me, so.
Right, and Mr. Tracy, you bring up a great point too. I've really thought about with your position with the village now too. We don't have an ESDA car here at all, and we really should have one. It's getting limited use, and really for a $4,000 vehicle that can possibly be relettered and whatnot, I would think it'd be worth utilizing one of those. If we can take a look and see if one was better than the other, it's a two.
If you want to look at the whole program altogether, keep in mind that Milton has a whole fleet of ESDA. So, I mean, that's ESDA is something you're going to have to look at. And keep in mind one other thing, Mr. Dracy has taken this ESDA program to a brand new level.
I agree, and that's why I was focusing on it recently. I mean, I'm mostly out in the Chicago Heights area, and every one of those villages has a designated vehicle for that and so forth, and we don't.
My intention at some point was to pretty much start to the ground up what's happening this year. Eventually, look at grants, different things like that, but there's so much stuff that needs to be done first. It hasn't been at the top of my list, but as I start getting out more and more, if we have response to that type of thing, we're going to be in a pickle.
Chuck, only because we've got, it's no secret, we've got major budget constraints. Would you be interested in at least getting a car like this for starters?
My intention would be if it was available and I need to take my personal vehicle here, I
That's,
wouldn't necessarily want to have it on a daily basis, but if it was here,
I get you, but if you're responding to something too, you're supposed to be in a village vehicle and so forth, so,
yeah.
right.
Keep in mind one more other expenditure out there, is that you are going to be adding vehicles to your insurance fleet.
Right, I was just going to bring that up.
Understood, but
Yep.
as
Insurance liability.
the former chief pointed out, I think, Chief Rads, can you take a look at those vehicles, please? Can we, like you said, can we find out which one's better than the other and at least hang on to one?
Right now,
For that purpose?
we do have one fleet vehicle, and it's being used a bit, but frankly, it probably just makes sense to have Chuck be checking that one out too and use it more. I'm not necessarily sure we need more than one.
He certainly could, but at the same time, you hate to think that one car is being shared with the whole village, so.
Eventually, what you would want to do, as you mentioned in the comment, eventually, and again, it's not at the top of my list, but eventually, my goal would be that there would be an assigned vehicle, a marked vehicle.
Sure.
We'd have radios and all of that, as it is right now, we'd have some sort of a disconnect, down the road. But it's not at the top of my list, but they're heading that way.
Chief Rads, can I ask you, now, the car I don't know if all the communications are already out of it. I mean, is that being retrofitted, or is that equipment still usable?
The But as Trustee DeZella had asked, we had taken some equipment out of some vehicles and we put them in the new vehicles. So I would have to go back and look at these vehicles and see which ones were gutted and some of them.
Can you, I guess that would be my request, would be if you can take a look at that to see if we can utilize something for our emergency services. Yeah.
Trustee Shapiro, will be willing to pull that off the consent agenda then, and we'll just revisit it?
Thanks.
I think that, are they being tracked? I mean, does anybody know, do you sign in and out for a car when you take it? Does anybody know who's taking it? Because if we need,
That village vehicle car, I have nothing to do with it.
Well, who does?
I turn that over to the finance department.
So
Yeah,
is it being used?
It's being used, but not enough. As I said,
Not
I think
enough
right
to
now.
warrant two cars?
That's where I think we are right now. I think if there's a difference about, if there's an issue about labeling it, et cetera, but maybe for this year, I mean, every year the police department gets new squads and retires some other ones. I would think right now what would make more sense is just to have Chuck be another person who's checking these vehicle out, and then we see if there's a demand in the future years to do it next time around. But
Can I just expound on a point that Trustee Ryan made, that there is a distinct difference between his needs and his vehicle.
Right.
That vehicle was gutted. The vehicles we're talking about may or may not still have some police equipment in it. Whatever vehicle he uses, he is going to need a radio and some emergency equipment.
And I can't speak to that. So if there's that issue, then that's different. But just in terms of the use of a vehicle right now, if that isn't an issue in the labeling on the side, et cetera.
Just take 2 weeks and dialogue it out, and then we'll revisit it.
Sounds like a plan. I think
Chief.
I'm just going to table that item. I'll table it until.
And on the consent agenda.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Just so you're aware, Trustee Ryan, that this was brought up.
Where's it at?
And
Back a month or two ago, it was brought up. I actually, at that time, Is it on the agenda?
Is it on the agenda?
Is that on the consent?
This will be a situation moving forward.
Letter N.
with me
N?
something that might want to consider that he said, yeah, it would be a different use. How about look at that for use, right?
229 Dodge Charger.
She's going to take it off.
Eventually, we have to.
In the event of emergency, we certainly have to be responsive to your office and so forth, so. I get you. Well, this will eliminate that, but thanks, Chief Rads, we'll get that going. All right.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Public Works, Trustee Dwyer.
I have a request for approval to lease two new Canon IRC 22-351 copiers, one for Public Works and one for the Water Department. And the reason being, Mike sent me a little notice here that, let's see, he would like to request approval from the Village Board to lease two new Canon copier machines because, and they're going to split the bill between the Water and the Public Works. Public Works has currently been leasing its copier machine from Proven, and now the machine has begun to break down and parts are no longer available. The copier machine in the Water Department has become obsolete. So this lease agreement has been reviewed and approved by Mike and the Water Department, Dan Triben, and have included the agreement for your review. And I also have a presentation of the October monthly activity report. We have 1,207.45 hours doing street sweeping, pothole patching, prepping salt dome, getting it ready for winter, de-icing workshop, sidewalk program inspection, set up salt dispenser, picnic tables to firehouse, held heavy equipment class for fire department, miscellaneous work orders, performing general garage and equipment maintenance, and administrative duties. And I also have something else that Mike wanted me to touch on was Mike and to make us all aware that Mike and the mayor had discussions about Mike adding additional messaging for the large brown directional signs along Pulaski Avenue. Mike met with Paul Kaminsky from South Water Signs last Thursday. As you may know, South Water Signs was the company that produced all the new signage for Pulaski. They inspected the directional signs along this route to determine what other local facilities could be identified and added to the signs that may only have had one or two messages. Facilities that make the most sense and would be of interest to the public and could be added to these signs are as follows: the Alsip Public Library, Alsip Aquatic Park, Fire Station 1 in Apollo Park. South Water Signs will provide a drawing of how the signs will look with the additions and an estimate before proceeding. If you have any questions, please call Mr. Frater. And that's all I have under Public Works.
Did you have a presentation of the October monthly fire? Did you say
I
that?
read that.
All right. Building, Trustee Michaels.
I have a list of bills and timesheets. Presentation of the October monthly activity report. The report runs from 10/1/16 to 10/31/16. Estimated cost of construction, $823,348. Number of permits issued were 110. And the total amount collected was $15,434. Next, I have a request for approval of a $40 permit refund for a canceled job at 11750 South Pulaski. Permit number 16-16640. Low voltage electrical work contractor on elevator permit is Wachter Incorporated in Lenexa, Kansas. That's all I have under building.
Sewer and Water, Trustee Dazell.
List of bills, presentation of the employee time records, and the presentation of the October monthly report. And thanks for Public Works for paying for our copier. Thanks. Oh, no, brought up. Way to go, Dan.
It's going to be a hole in somebody's budget. License, Trustee Ryan.
Mayor, the License Committee requests approval for a list of licenses dated today, November 7th, 2016. We also had a handful of new business license applications. First one is from Advertising Resources Incorporated. They're going to be located at 11701 South Central. Next one's from Bond Transit Incorporated. They'll be located at 12161 South Central, and they're a trucking office. Next one's from Carrier One. Looks like they're going to be sharing the same office at 12161 South Central. Again, a trucking office. Next one, apparently they must have a handful of these all in one building. Connect Freight will be in the same building at 12161 South Central Avenue. Again, a trucking firm. Next one is from MACK. It's M-A-C-K Masonry. This is a home-occupied business located at 4219 West 126th Street, and they're doing masonry work. And again, to add to that same building at 12161 South Central will be NIS Express Incorporated, and it's spelled N-I-S. They're a transportation company. And another business in the same building known as Yankee Freight Systems at 12161 South Central Avenue. So we welcome all those trucking firms to the town. And the last one would be from V.C. Gonzan. They'll be located at 5030 West 127th Street, and this is an investment office. And again, we welcome them to the village. Thank you.
We're moving along. I'd like to introduce Mayor Bennett from Palos Hills, who has joined us. He will be speaking to the board later in the executive session. Great. So, thank you, Jerry. Economic Development, Trustee Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, too, Economic Development, earlier this evening at 6:30, we requested a meeting of the Committee of the Whole meeting that started at 6:30 p.m. We actually went into executive session. Executive session, for the record, did end at 7:25 p.m., so we could return to the boardroom for our regular scheduled meeting. If I could, please, we are represented in Economic Development on our Pulaski Avenue TIF by Mannheim Solutions. Mr. Mannheim or Mr. Hopkins, whichever, could we get a report, please, on what's going on over there?
Thank you. Several things we have worked on this past month, including attending the ICSC, that's the International Shopping Center Show in Chicago, October 19th and 20th, along with the real estate partners from CB Richard Ellis. And even though we're just now putting together lists of specific sites, it still is very important for us to get our faces out there, and so that they know who we are, and so we also know who's looking at what kind of properties we will have available or do have right now. Special thanks, by the way, goes to the Alsip Chamber and the CalSag Enterprise Zone for providing additional marketing materials. As reported last month, our marketing research on the Alsip building and sites for use in sales is underway with CB Richard Ellis, which you just, this thing doesn't have very good range.
No, not exactly. Sorry.
I should know that by now. Okay, now we're hearing well. As I was saying, special thanks to the Alsip Chamber of Commerce and the CalSag Enterprise Zone for providing additional marketing materials for the deal-making show in Chicago last month. And also, as reported, which you just talked about, Trustee Ryan, which is putting together a list of properties and appraisals to get those sites that real estate developers are looking for, as well as franchisers. Also, to encourage more Pulaski TIF corridor businesses to apply for TIF funds is to help them figure out how to get financing or lending institutions. So we've begun contacting the various lending institutions to work with them, to work with us, to convince our existing businesses that they should think about making those improvements to facades and parking lots and the like by applying for the TIF. Roger met recently with Food for Less, and they're examining development opportunities of vacant adjoining sites here in Elgin, in Alsip. And I think you should know that special congratulations goes to Catherine Rajnowski on graduating from the International Economic Development course, Basic Economic Development, in October. She was also honored as the MVP of her class. She did extremely well. We're continuing to work with, by the way, a variety of our customers. Alsip Lawnmower is still working on getting its bids together. Right now they're running into issues with the to improve their parking lot, but the problem is getting a vendor who will be available to do the work. And of course, right now we're coming towards the end of the season.
You're not going to be asphalt this time of the season.
That's exactly right. So his project's probably to go towards spring right now. But he's been actively working on it, and he's in good spirits. Some of the other ones that we're having issues with include the landlords, not necessarily the businesses. We're still working with Red Shoe Billiards on that, and there are several others that we're also working on. Application fees, by the way, have not yet come up as any kind of an issue, and I believe that's probably an expense that they can get reimbursed for anyway. So if that does become an issue, we'll come back to that. So in November, we're continuing to work with the Pulaski Road property owners. We're going to be stepping up those efforts, as well as working with the lenders to get them to assist us and to see what requirements that they would have to get some of our local businesses to use some of our TIF funding available. And that's the long and short of it for the day.
So even though,
Questions?
again, just to review, for the benefit of the public, with our TIF, that we have an existing TIF on Pulaski, we really are trying to push, that was really a focus for many of the trustees, to try and assist existing businesses, and like more or less an 80-20 expense where we're picking up 80% of this, or a case-by-case basis, depending on what we're looking at. But
right.
But nobody really has taken advantage of that yet.
We're getting their attention. We got some that have serious applications in, but they haven't taken that next step yet. Yeah.
And again, just, because we get a lot of students and so forth here too, but part of what we're trying to promote is the idea of like maybe enhancing the facades on their buildings,
right.
Maybe some new storefronts, maybe a handful of different things that they can do. They're TIF-eligible expenses.
That's right.
Yet, I'm a little disappointed that they're not going there. I
It
know
takes
everybody's
time.
budget's tough. I get that. But I was actually recently, I just did some work in Homewood, and they were really pushing that hard, where they got almost the entire downtown Homewood to do all new storefronts that look somewhat uniform and so forth, but there was a great incentive to do that and so forth. Then too,
and it's going to happen. One of the companies we're working with right now is actually a real estate management firm that owns one of our shopping centers, and they are going to be meeting with us probably again in November. But that's what it often takes, is where you have the owner of the strip center, for example, willing to come forward and take advantage of the programs. And then with a couple of places where we have run into issues have been where the businesses are willing, but the property owners are absentee landlords.
Right.
So that's part of it too. So we're going to keep pushing harder on this and more aggressively, and that's part of the reason we're getting the lenders involved too, and going after the owners of the properties. So it's a long process, but it'll eventually it's going to happen. Okay.
Very good.
That's it.
Any questions from the board?
Questions from anybody?
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you, Mayor.
That's all we have, Mayor.
Presentation of the October...
I apologize, right. We still had the, we have the presentation of the minutes of the September 6th, 2016 Economic Development Committee meeting. We also have a presentation of the minutes for the October 3rd Economic Development Committee meeting and a presentation of the October activity report that Chris just explained a few minutes ago. Thank you.
Special Committee reports, Village Properties, Trustee Michaels.
I have a list of bills and a request for approval to post for hiring of a part-time union cleaning position. Roger Early, who was the Village Properties Manager, sent me a letter, and I'll read it to you. Doing a little bit more into this. I would like to ask the Mayor and the Board for approval to post a position in-house for a part-time union cleaning position. If there are no other inquiries in-house, I would like to post a position to the public. The position is available due to current employee taking the position in the clerk's office. If there's any questions or concerns, please contact me, Roger Early. Thank you, Roger. That's all I have under Village Properties.
Insurance, Trustee McGreal.
I have 3 updates from the Insurance Committee. First of all, letters have been distributed by HR to all employees and retirees announcing the 2017 healthcare overview meetings. And the meetings are going to be held November 16th, 17th, and 22nd at various times, including an evening session. All are welcome to attend, including family members, friends, or anyone that may be assisting with healthcare decisions. Second, the Accident Review Board held another meeting on Tuesday, October 28th to continue to address process improvements. They discussed a recent shoulder injury. After some discussion and the employees' input, a solution had been agreed to that includes reducing the weight of the project being used, team lifting techniques, and adjusting movements involved in the process. The process continues to be impactful and successful in keeping the number and severity of injuries at a minimum here at the village. And lastly, just a reminder that all employees that are covered under the village health care and have not taken advantage of the on-site flu shots can still visit Walgreens, CVS, or their personal physician's office to receive their flu shot free of charge. That's all that I have, Mayor.
Ordinance and Legislation, Trustee Dizelle.
The request for the approval of an ordinance amending Alsip Village Code, Chapter 15.5 Personnel. This has actually been a multi-year process, and I want to give special thanks to the HR Manager, Kathy Franzen, the Attorney, Kathy Elliott, and the Board of Trustees for their continued efforts with this. In reviewing it, there's only one question that I have, though, and 15.5-41, which is a retirement benefit with the use of the sick. It specifies now age 55, and I'm afraid that that's going to preempt those who are Tier 1 employees in the Article 3 or 4 pension plans. So I don't think that would be fair to, at this point in time, is preclude certain people who are this close to making use of that. So I don't know if we should hold this over to yet again discuss this, but
Can we approve it and then with the caveat of changing that to?
Attorney Elliott?
Well, did you have a suggested amendment?
Well, the only amendment would be is that because those who are Tier 1 members of the Article 3 or 4 have the ability to retire at age 50. And under this ordinance, we would now hold everyone till age 55. If we were in Tier 2, all employees, then it wouldn't make anything relevant. But there's, I know one person in an orange shirt that may have...
One person.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the section number, and the last part of it is B, where it says to receive the retirement bonus under this section. employee must meet all requirements, which include attained age, 55 years and 20 years of service. Do you want to put there except tier 1?
I'd rather, before we vote on it, it was a complete.
Okay, all right.
Why don't we just table it
Put
till
it
the
off.
next meeting,
Okay.
and we'll make the corrections.
I'd like to
and-
table this until the next meeting, Mayor.
Excellent.
21st. It would be the 21st, trustee.
Thank you. IT, Trustee Ryan.
IT committee has no report this evening. However, I would like to set up a quarterly IT committee meeting for Monday, November 21st at 6:30 PM. Would the committee be available? Trustee Dozal, are you available that evening?
Actually, we've got water and sewer and finance planned, so,
Let's get it in at 14.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's next Monday.
Is that a full plate? Is there a lot going on that evening?
On the 14th, you just mentioned it.
The 21st, right.
It's a regular board meeting.
Right. I was calling it a 6:30 committee meeting for an update. We haven't had
I
a quarterly
apologize.
meeting. So, yeah, I'll set that up. I'll post it through the clerk's office for the 21st for a committee meeting at 6:30. That's all I have, sir.
Boat launch, Trustee Ryan.
Boat launch officially closed November 1st, and we had a real good season. And again, I always appreciate the help we've got the last couple of seasons from Mr. Hardy and Mr. Volpe. Great job, Jim. Thank you again for helping us out this season, okay? Great. That's a tough job. You know, a lot of people don't realize that really is a tough job. You know, that's a lonely one back there, too, to be sit on the Kelsag Canal, all day long. You know, I mean, I've had people ask to do that job. I says, if you can do it an hour and a half by yourself back there, let me know if you can, and then we'll consider it. But, I mean, you're back there for, 6 hours at a time most of the time and so forth then, too. So thank you very much, Jim. Okay.
Planning and zoning, Trustee Dwyer.
I have a request for approval of minutes, the August 24th, 2016 Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. That's all I have under Planning and Zoning.
Human Resources, Trustee Dwyer.
Let's see. We have new representatives that have been assigned to the village from both VALIC and Nationwide. 457 plans. Informational meetings will be offered to all employees in the upcoming weeks with these new reps. A selection has been made for one of the 2 available part-time clerk positions in the clerk's office. Interviews continue for the second position. The village's second biometric wellness event is scheduled and will be held December 6th, 7th, and 8th. Times for the screenings and the online appointment process will be communicated soon. And that's all I have under...
Are there any presentations, petitions, or communications which we have not covered under ordinary business? Trustees, are there any items you wish to remove from the consent agenda?
Item O, Mayor.
I would like to remove Q.
Any others? Need a motion to establish the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
A motion, a second. Madam Clerk, will you add the remaining information, please, and then call the roll?
K should read $394,083.60. L should read $1,167,137.82. M will now be ordinance number 2016-11-1.
Trustee Shapiro, weren't you going to pull N?
N has been tabled into the November 21st meeting. O has also been tabled into the November 21st meeting. P will now be resolution number 2016-11-R-1. Q has been tabled. Roll call number 1, Trustee Shapiro.
Yes.
You pulled it.
Pulled.
Yeah, pulled, not tabled.
Trustee McGrail.
Yes?
She said P.
Trustee Dwyer, you had
I
pulled
pulled
Q.
Q.
Q as in queen, correct? Okay. Trustee Dizelle.
Yes.
Trustee Ryan.
Yes.
Trustee Michaels.
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call number 2, Trustee Shapiro.
Yes.
Trustee McGreal.
Yes.
Trustee Dizelle.
Yes.
Trustee Ryan.
Yes.
Trustee Michaels.
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve the consent agenda.
Is there any unfinished business before the board?
Back to item Q.
Wait, wait, wait.
Wait a minute, go back to
Oh,
We have to go
I'm
back to
sorry.
Q.
Back to Q.
Back to Q.
Approval for the Finance Director to attend the Illinois Municipal Treasurers Association 2016 Institute and Advanced Seminar in Bloomington, Illinois.
Obviously, you know my feelings on that. I feel like we don't have anybody in our finance department, and that this would not be a good time for you to be attending this. And how many days would it be, Kent?
It's about a day and a half there, but it'd be Tuesday through Thursday, essentially, with travel.
3 days.
So 2 nights,
So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
correct, with travel.
Well, that's 3 days. And returning back Friday, so you'd be out of the office for 3 days.
Correct.
And this is to renew one of your,
Not to renew any of I need education as part of my job in order to do the job properly, in order to maintain the credit rating, and I'm not getting that. And every other department, required education, they get it. And every time I bring something forward for required education, I'm not getting it, and we are, I can't say fully staffed because I need to bring up another accountant, but at least the way that the board has currently defined staffing, we do have everyone here.
we have one person in your department, and you've told us continuously that you have so much work to do that you can't
I got
get
it, but
anything
it-
accomplished.
I
So
got
to be
it.
gone for 3 days,
I
in
got
my
it, but
opinion, is
again,
not-
I have to maintain my certifications in order for us
Can you
to
do
have the
that on
credit
your own
rating.
time? Can you do that?
These are the classes that actually have
Can you
step
do it
4
online?
municipal treasurers.
Can you do it online?
I think it would probably be more expensive, GFOA office classes, but they're pretty expensive for the multiple day classes.
Does somebody have a motion then?
Well, my motion is the approval for the Finance Director to attend Illinois Municipal Treasurers Association 2016 Institute and Advanced Seminar in Bloomington, Illinois.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call number 3, Trustee Shapiro.
Yes.
Trustee McGreal.
This was discussed at length. No.
Trustee Dizelle.
Yes.
Trustee Ryan.
Yes.
Trustee Michaels.
No.
Trustee Dwyer.
No.
Mayor Kitching.
Yes.
Motion carries for the Finance Director to attend the Illinois Municipal Treasurers Association 2016 Institute.
I believe it's necessary for accreditation, and we want the smartest employees we can get, to tell you the truth. Any unfinished
tiny
business before the
issue.
board?
Just one little comment. It was touched on just briefly, but yeah, we're trying to set up a water meeting at 6:30 next Monday, and then followed by a finance meeting. That's next Monday on the 14th. That's all I have, Mayor.
Any new business?
I have something, oh, go ahead.
I'd just like to make a quick comment here for the public. It's very important that if you have not voted, that you please go out and vote. It's very important for the democracy that we have here. So those are my comments. Please, if you have not voted, do so tomorrow. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I'd also like to add to that you will be asked at the first thing that you vote on to pass a constitutional amendment. There's been a lot of TV commercials saying that the citizens wanted this. That's not true. It's all being propagated by the companies of the world that build highways. basically it would require municipalities to throw in all the money that they get from their vehicle stickers and any other type of wheel tax to nothing but road repairs. Unfortunately, a lot of towns use some of that money to balance their budgets and to stay alive. The Village of Alsip already does that. We do put our money in there, and we don't need a constitutional amendment to tell us what the right thing to do is. So I urge you all to vote no. At this time, do you have...
I wanted to bring something up under new, under new business. I believe everyone in this, elected officials and law enforcement, fire, everyone was invited to the, this might be a little bit long. I hope you'll be patient because I think it's very important that you hear about this. I received an invitation to the Heroin Summit hosted by Mayor Rahm Emanuel downtown. The Chicagoland region is a hub for trafficking of heroin and synthetic opioids. That's correct. And our urban, suburban, and rural communities have all felt the impact of addiction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an epidemic. I am sad to say, as I looked around the room, I realized that I was the only representative from our village and didn't recognize anyone from the surrounding towns. There were mayors, law enforcement, healthcare providers, treatment providers, Walgreens, doctors, psychologists. They all came together because they realized that something has to be done about this issue. We are losing so many of our young people to this disease. The opioid epidemic has hit the Chicago and surrounding areas hard. We are second only to Boston. Chicago area's heroin-related emergency department visits was more than 3 times the national average. Chicago Fire Department responded to 2,734 suspected overdoses in 2015. July 16, President Obama signed the Addiction and Recovery Act for $8.5 million to develop tools and resources to help combat and educate people on this disease. They now realize that something needs to be done and soon. The conference talked about how we can do our part at home by making sure that prescription medicine be dropped off at Walgreens or your police department or your fire department, whatever the village has set up. Talking to your young children at a very young age, get them involved with the school officials, get involved with your schools. Having speakers talk to kids about these types of things so they don't get addicted. We are losing so many young people. We all need to do our part to stop this now. Opioid overdoses have shot up in recent years between 2001 and 2014. Deaths in the U.S. from prescription opioids are more than tripled, and deaths from heroin rose 6-fold. The number of heroin dependence and abuse was 467,000 in 2012, 2 times more than it was the decade earlier, and 2.1 million for pain relievers. And all the U.S. had an estimated 8,257 heroin deaths and 16,235 prescription deaths from prescription drugs in 2013. Some of the reasons being that this is being overprescribed by physicians, drug traffickers. Heroin is cheap and easy to obtain than prescription painkillers. I'm glad I attended the summit. It was very informative and yet made me realize that all of us have a lot of work to do in our communities to keep our kids safe, our young people safe, and help our children get educated on this disease. They had many families that had lost loved ones to this disease. They too at one time thought this wasn't their problem until it took over their family. Everyone needs to get educated on this disease. It's in full force and it's very deadly. And it was very good summit and very overcrowded standing room.
I would like to go on record as saying that I agree with Trustee Dwyer twice in one meeting.
Yay! One was in closed doors, so maybe you didn't hear that.
Thank you for being
But yes, it's a real issue every place, especially in Chicago, and we need to really be aware of it and start out early in the early grades.
Will County also, it's very large and has been.
It's a huge problem. Trustee Michaels, do you have the wording for the closed session?
Mayor, can I say something real quick under that? At all times, crime prevention officer Rocco Marlowe is accepting prescription medicine.
Oh, good.
So if you do have that medicine lying around, please feel free to contact Rocco Marlowe. He does have 2 or 3 designated days. Sometimes he does it at the firehouse and such, where he does an advertised collection, but he's collecting it at all times. So if anybody does,
Fire department has it too, don't you? Have a drop-off box? Okay. I
And
thought you
just
said.
FYI for you, they did have that summit at Moraine Valley, I think 3 years ago. Chief McCarthy had Oral had a chief summit, and then just recently lieutenants of Lotley attended the summit at Moraine Valley. But Rom's keeping up with us. Rom's getting there.
Well, they're finally realizing that they better do something about it. And they don't have enough places for people to go. They don't have enough beds, they don't have enough, they had all different kinds of group sessions where and it's very, very hard to believe.
And in a law enforcement perspective, I agree with you, it is an epidemic that people need to talk more about.
Okay, moving along. Trustee Michaels.
Closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine the validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
Second.
A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call number 4, Trustee Shapiro.
Yes.
Trustee McGrail.
Yes.
Trustee Dizelle.
Yes.
Trustee Ryan.
Yes.
Trustee Michaels.
Yes.
Trustee Dwyer.
Yes.
Motion carries to go into executive session.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be leaving the room to go to executive session. We will come back in here to adjourn. However, nothing else will be voted on this evening. Thank you all for attending.